This next story I have for you is about people still recovering in Texas 1 year after Hurricane Harvey went through.
All my grandmother's stuff is gone that I couldn't part with, so now it's gone. I don't have to worry about it.
When we last met Gail Hillman, Hurricane Harvey had just sent feet of water into her Houston home. Today,
they took everything out, all up to here. All the sheetrock had to come out.
she and her husband, both in their 80s, are finally back home after being displaced for 6 months.
Our daughter's friends, the Whitmires, gave us a free place to live in their garage apartment, so we had no place to go.
The Hillmans had never flooded before, but Harvey's record rainfall overwhelmed Harris County's flood control system and all of its neighboring suburbs, inundating entire communities thought to be safe.
We can't let this happen again. We've got to do everything in our power to make sure it doesn't.
A $2.5 billion bond package is Harris County's first major step in that prevention. If voters approve it, rapid improvements and upgrades could be made to the county's flood control system.
We have to go fix it. And when you have such a large amount of infrastructure, we are behind on fixing it all because of lack of funding, which would be addressed by this bond issue.
Officials say the average homeowner would pay about $10 extra in property taxes a year to fund everything. Money well spent, say the Hillmans, and they're willing to pay if it can prevent last year's horrors from ever repeating. Voters here in Harris County will head to the polls today on the 1-year anniversary the storm made its initial landfall to decide on that bond package. It is expected to pass with no real organized opposition. Meantime, it's estimated that more than 10,000 people are still displaced from their homes on this somber anniversary. It's the latest from Houston. Casey Stiegel, Fox News.
All right, Casey, thanks so much for that update. This next story is about finding hope during a tragedy. Taking you out to New Mexico, where a woman is turning wedding gowns into bereavement gowns.
A mother's love in action. A now years-long passion.
We'll probably turn it into a little jacket.
All started with a Facebook ad.
It said, "Do you love to sew?" It's like, what's this about?
Since 2014, Renee Blythe has spent countless hours cutting up and redesigning donated wedding gowns.
Beadwork, lace.
Not to be worn by a bride, but by babies gone far too soon.
The gowns are not something that you can find.
Blythe volunteers for the Texas-based nonprofit NICU Helping Hands in their Angel Gown program.
We make bereavement gowns for families who have lost a child.
She's made more than 400 gowns, given to families who lost premature babies in all 50 states.
Micro preemie, small, medium, large, and extra large.
Blythe says for her, it began as a bittersweet hobby.
At the time I was grieving too because of the loss of my son.
Blythe's son, Dustin, died when he was 24.
It was very tragic. Yeah. So there was a lot of grief.
She says even though she had more time with her child, the loss of one is always a nightmare.
It's devastating.
Over time, creating these gowns has become her therapy.
It just gives me a lot of peace thinking, maybe this is helping somebody.
A mother's time to help other families while thinking about her own.
I think about him a lot. I miss him very much.
Brittany Bate, KRQE, News 13.
Wow, what do you all think about that story? Pretty heartfelt, right? In order to be able to give back like that. Going to completely switch gears here. Complete opposite. And let you know, possibly some sad news. Maybe not sad, maybe just disappointing, discouraging. It's in relation to a recent study is showing that no amount of alcohol is good for you at all. I know other reports have shown, a glass of wine here or a drink there. Let's watch this latest report.
Probably vodka tonic.
Hennessy with cranberry.
Bacardi and Coke.
whatever our drink of choice.
White wine.
No matter how frequently or infrequently we imbibe it.
Once a day?
Maybe twice a week.
3 days out of the week?
It depends on the week.
A new study from the Global Burden of Diseases not only recommends we drink less, but also suggests no amount of alcohol is good for our health.
Oh, sometimes very good for you.
I guess it depends on what you're going through. They say one is good for the heart, right?
Lenox Hill Hospital Associate Director of Women's Heart Health, Dr. Rachel Bond, confirms the occasional drink, particularly red wine, can improve heart health.
But we have to also understand that with benefits come risks.
Risks of dying from other causes. Risks we know alcohol, a carcinogen, increases.
If you are an individual who's thinking that by drinking I'm lowering my risk of a disease, that's not the case.
Bond also quashed any hope from drinkers looking for an excuse to ignore this study for being too small or amateur.
It was actually published in The Lancet, which is a very well-renowned publication. That in of itself should make us really acknowledge it.
This study looked at 26 years of other studies in nearly 200 countries and found statistically significant higher rates of death from not only cancer but also accidental causes in those who drank.
I think the rule of thumb is if you are drinking, you really should try to minimize the amount regardless.
On the Upper East Side, I'm Matt King, Fox 5 News.
All right, everybody, we're going to take you out to Colorado next, where members of the Castle Rock Fire Department came to the rescue of a horse that was having big trouble this weekend.
It's close to midnight at this ranch in Castle Rock, and the clock is ticking. A horse named Partner trapped in a mud pit, barely able to breathe. In the nightgown there, you can see owner Tiffany Flynn trying to help save the animal.
Trauma, you're in shock, and we've never had to experience this before. This is not something either of us have ever had to deal with. So it was a little bit shocking and kind of like, okay, what do we do?
Castle Rock firefighters are called to help.
I walked up to see all my guys down here in this mud with nothing really to stand on.
The emergency workers built a series of makeshift platforms so they and a veterinarian could stabilize Partner with sedatives.
And that way he wasn't struggling and getting himself bogged down deeper. I didn't want the horse panicking and thrashing around and hurting himself or anyone else.
This was a new type of rescue for the firefighters.
We had a piece of webbing initially underneath the animal's head to help support the head and keep it up and out of the mud.
They also built a pulley system to lift the 1,100-pound Tennessee Walker out of that muddy hole.
All team ready?
Partner was finally on his way to dry land, where he was able to stand on his own 2 feet.
It was like he was a little wobbly and whatnot, but then we knew, okay, he's free and clear, he's going to be okay.
A close call for Partner, still a little muddy, but clearly happy to be back home.